Why do avoidants fall out of love? I think this is a very predominant question that a lot of people have when they're going through a relationship with an avoidant, and that avoidant ends up breaking up with them or pulls away from them because it can be very confusing to them. And the reason why is because things started off really good, right? It felt like a real, genuine connection that you both had, and it seemed like things were heading in the right direction. But it tends to, over time, start to shift and change in different ways. And what's kind of odd about it is that the things that are causing those shifts and change are things that you would typically experience or want to experience in a healthy relationship, right? You opening up more, you expressing or being vulnerable, or maybe even dealing with some conflicts so that you guys can work through them and have a healthy, stronger relationship together. But those type of things have caused this avoidant to pull away more and more. And you are left wondering, why did this person fall out of love? Right? Like, we were great, like things were going well, and they just kept reacting and having these responses to where they would pull away from it. And what we have to understand here is that avoidants have a different way of falling in love. They don't typically fall completely in love like you would expect to somebody else who doesn't have an avoidant attachment style, right? And this is due to them not allowing themselves to go deep enough to feel that emotion, because to them, that's a threat. That's a threat to what they want to experience, and those are unwanted emotions that they tend to not want to experience, which is confusing in itself, because anyone who's in a relationship, those are typically the things that you want to feel in a partner. But to the avoidant, that was a threat. And the reason why it presents itself to them as that way is because when they were growing up, they did not get that type of emotional needs met from that caregiver, or they never saw that love being expressed to them. So whenever they see you doing that and they start to realize that they're going down that path with you, they get scared, right? This sounds the alarm to where they essentially are like, whoa, this is bad. I've never been here. This is uncharted territory. Like, I need to get out of here as quickly as I possibly can. And this is where you start to see them are falling out of love, right? And it can happen very sudden, or it can happen over time gradually. But either way, this is something that is always instilled inside of them, right? It tends to be what typically ends up happening when you are in a relationship with an avoidant, because they need to really genuinely work through this. They need to start to look at love as a different association from being a negative thing to actually being a positive thing. And the only way that they're going to be able to do that is if they address it. If they stand up to that avoidant attachment style and say, hey, like, I know that this is how we've been for so long, and we utilize this to protect ourselves because, we didn't get the love that we wanted from the caregiver, or our caregiver made us feel whatever it might have been that caused us to be this way. We need to let that go. It served a purpose at that time, but now it is being very detrimental to the relationships and being able to grow and stay committed in a relationship that I know is actually going to be beneficial for myself. And this is the emotional maturity that they have to get to. But this, again, tends to not happen because they have so many triggers that causes them to not get to that point, because this is going to lead them to have to dig deep and to feel unwanted emotions, because that's the only way that they're going to heal this. So I know this can be very challenging for someone to go through this, because again, like, it just doesn't really make sense to you. Even when you hear why an avoidant is the way that they are, you still, a part of you feels like, well, like, why can't they just wake up and realize that, like, I genuinely care about them and I love them and I want to do everything I possibly can to work with them and to work through this, but they're just not doing anything, right? And this is something that you have to come to the realization that they're the only ones that's going to be able to actually love themselves and want to make that change, right? They have to love themselves enough to sit there and say, I want to make this change. I don't want to be this way anymore, because I am essentially ruining relationships that I genuinely want to be in, and it's causing me to not feel love and positive emotions that most people want to experience in their life. But this, again, is something that they have to come to that realization. And the only real way that they're going to do that is when they realize this and they wake up and finally see how this is a problem. Because for so long, they've convinced themselves that this is a good thing, that this behavior is acceptable, because they had to, right? They had to bypass that logic and critical thinking to make themselves feel like this is a good thing, because most people at some point in time would recognize like, hey, like this way of being is not a good thing for any relationship. No one's going to be able to get close to me. I'm not going to be able to express myself to other people, and it's going to cause relationships to end. But they're not there yet. And the honest truth is that there may be a chance that they're never going to get to that point. And this is why you have to kind of let them go and understand that it sucks that this person can't allow themselves to go deep enough to see the value that you bring into their life, and to want to stay committed to you and to grow this love into so many different areas. But this again is on them. It's not on you. You did everything that you possibly could to try to make this person realize this, and to see the value and the love that you both share together. And it sucks to have to go through that. But what is so important for you right now is to figure out what you need to do to work through this. I know that there's a part of you that genuinely wants to stay committed to this person and to see if there's a way that you can make things work, but you've already done enough. It's now time for you to prioritize yourself and to pour that love that you poured into them back to yourself. You are a great person. You are amazing. This is little to nothing to do with you. This is on them. This is something that has stemmed from their childhood, and they have to be the one to want to work through this. And maybe later on down the road, this person will be able to finally have a breakthrough moment for themselves, and they'll find their way back to you, and you guys can work things out and maybe have a healthy relationship together. But you deserve to yourself to step away from this and to understand that you need to prioritize yourself and what it is that you need to do to heal and move on from this relationship. I hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.